White Christmas is about a successful singing duet who team up with a sister act to save the hotel of their former army general. It's filled with singing, dancing, and the worst thing you could possibly use for fake snow. This was the first movie to be shot in VistaVision, which was a revolutionary tactic of filming in which the film was turned sideways. They were rather proud of that. Anyway, it starts on Christmas Eve of 1944 with soldiers putting on a show in the middle of a war zone, and the captain gets all mad about it. But considering it's a war zone, can't say I blame him. So General Waverly has this guy driving back to headquarters, but in the wrong direction. Then Bob Wallace sings White Christmas, and it's really obvious it's studio recorded with him just lip syncing. After the song, General Waverly asks whose idea this was and Phil Davis takes the blame for him, but Waverly is really nice about it. Then they sing a loud song and Waverly leaves. Then they start getting bombed. Gee, with how loud they were, I wonder how the enemy found out where they were. A wall is about to fall on Bob and Phil saves him and gets his arm hurt in the process. He goes to the infirmary and when Bob is visiting him, he guilt trips him into doing a show with him after the war. Apparently it worked out because they're famous now. About 10 years later, they're going to New York to do some famous show. But first, they have to go see a show by the sisters of a wartime friend who sent them a letter. When they get to the show, they only tell the owner to tell the Hayes sisters that they're there.
Bob Wallace and Phil Davis are out front to catch your act.
Wallace and Davis?
Yeah, they got a letter from your brother.
How does he know that if they never told him that? But it turns out Judy actually wrote the letter. So the sisters do their show, and after they talk with Bob and Phil. After a while, Judy and Phil go dancing and Bob and Betty talk. Then Phil and Judy go outside and dance. Okay, the music is not loud enough to be heard outside, and the song that plays is a prop not actually playing outside. Which means that they're dancing like this without any music, which makes them look kind of crazy. I guess the sheriff is there to arrest the girls for burning a hole in the rug or something. So Bob and Phil help them escape by sinking the girls out of the dressing room, giving them their tickets, and then doing their show for them. What the hell? I mean, it worked, so that's one way to do it. Afterwards, they meet up with Judy and Betty on the train and decide to go to Vermont with them, and get all excited about the snow. Snow! Well, there's no snow when they get there, so that sucks for them. Turns out General Waverly owns the hotel the Hayes sisters doing a show at, and no one is staying there since there's no snow. So Bob and Phil are going to do a show there to get people to come. Where are all these people going to stay? It seems this is the only hotel in the area, and it's not nearly big enough to accommodate all these people. Anyway, since this is a musical, they go through this whole 7-minute music number. Don't get me wrong, it's really good, but good God, it takes forever. I'm starting to think I don't like musicals. That night, Judy and Phil are trying to hook Bob and Betty up, so Judy convinces Betty to go get something to eat because Bob is in the dining area. They talk, I mean sing, about counting their blessings or something. Honestly, I zoned out at this point. And Betty tells Bob how sweet it is that he's helping the general out. Hey, their plan worked. The next day, Bob decides he's going to try to get the old platoon to come to the hotel and surprise Waverly for Christmas. So he's going to go do the Ed Harrison show in New York and ask them to come while he's on TV. And then there's this random 4-minute musical number that just comes out of nowhere. I really don't know why this is in this. Bob is talking to Ed on the phone, and Ed tries to convince Bob to have the show at the hotel and even offers to pay him like $100,000. But Bob turns it down because he doesn't want to commercialize the reunion. But this stupid maid only hears a small part of the conversation and goes and tells Betty what greedy jerks she thinks Bob and Phil are.
Of course, you know it means over $200,000 worth of free publicity for Davis and Wallace.
Bob Wallace said it. I just heard him.
No, you didn't. You only heard the offer Ed made. Well, this gets Betty pissed off and she quits the show. This is why you don't eavesdrop and spread rumors, asshole. Judy and Phil think Bob and Betty are fighting because Betty is mad about being in love. So Judy decides her and Phil should pretend to be engaged to help him out, which freaks Phil out, but he's gonna just go along with it anyway. And they announce it at the cast party that night. But this just pisses Betty off more and makes her decide to take a job at another club in New York, so that really backfired. Before Betty left, she left Judy a letter telling her that she starts her new job the next day. So her and Phil confess to Bob what they did, and he berates them and then goes to New York to set things straight. The next day, he gets to the club.
Let's not do the number we rehearsed this afternoon. Play Blue Skies, anything.
Keep that in mind for a few seconds. Betty then sings this 2.5-minute song. Fun fact, this dancer is George Chakwas, who went on to win Best Supporting Actor in West Side Story. Anyway, after the show, they talk and Ed shows up and ruins it, so nothing was solved. By the way, this is the next day, which means Betty would have had to sign a contract with the club, planned and scheduled the show, promoted it, met with the dance choreographer, practiced and perfected at least 2 songs since she wanted to change the song last minute, and performed the song all within a day. There's no way she did all that. Back at the hotel, they're trying to keep Waverly away from the TV to keep the reunion a surprise. So Phil pretends to be hurt and has Waverly walk him around for a bit, while Bob sings a song on TV and invites all the former soldiers to surprise him at the hotel. For some reason, Betty is watching, even though I thought she was pissed about the whole thing, and realizes what an ass she's being. This is why you don't eavesdrop and spread rumors, asshole! So she goes back to the hotel. At the show, Waverly gets surprised by his soldiers with the same song they sent him off with at the beginning of the movie. He then addresses them and thanks them all. Just watch this guy. He tries so hard. And Betty surprises Bob at the show. And after the show, what a surprise, it's snowing! Wanna know what the snow really is? Asbestos! The fake snow is asbestos.
Isn't this great?
No, it's not.
Hey, I
Holy shit, what the hell? I know this is before they found out it causes cancer, but still. Well, Bob and Betty are back together, and Phil and Judy are too. They all then sing White Christmas one more time, with more asbestos. Merry Christmas, everyone! Even though I don't really like musicals, this movie isn't too bad. The music is good, and the singing is great, even though it's really obvious they recorded it in a studio and dubbed it over. But this was because of the limitations of technology at the time. Story makes sense overall, except I don't know how Betty got a gig, rehearsed it, and performed it all in one day. The acting is fantastic. Bing Crosby is great as Bob Wallace. He does a good job acting annoyed with Phil constantly guilt-tripping him into doing stuff, but yet you can tell he's a really good guy. He did have a great singing voice too. I can see why he was in so many musicals. Kaye also does a great job as Phil Davis. His interactions with Bob is really good, and it's funny watching how nervous he gets whenever Judy flirts with him. Rosemary Clooney is fantastic as Betty Haynes. She can really be animated when needed, but she can also act serious when the scene calls for it. Her singing was great also. The set design and backdrops are really well done too. It's just unfortunate they decided to use asbestos as the snow. But you don't know what you don't know, I guess. Don't forget to do the YouTube stuff, and thanks for watching.